Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. We're so welcome to see everybody on this cold November day. I'm Samantha Russell, and I will be running today's webinar on digital marketing trends that we're looking at for 2019 and beyond. So while we wait a few minutes for everyone to sign on, I'm going to go ahead and launch a few polls that will just help us get a sense of what everybody's interested in learning about most today. So let me go ahead and do that. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a minute to answer, that again will help us just make sure everyone's on the same page in terms of expectations for today's webinar. So the question is, what trend are you most interested to learn about today? And just so that I know that everybody can see me and hear me okay, if you're having any difficulties, please let us know in the chat box. You know, if you can't hear or you can't see my screen, you should be able to see me, and you should be able to see the beginning of the presentation on Succeeding in 2019. So again, we'll give it a few more minutes for people to sign on, and so you can go ahead and answer the poll. For anyone joining us specifically from FPA today, I wanted to give a warm welcome and shout out. I know this is a FPA promoted webinar, and so we're excited to have all FPA members joining us here today for this presentation. So if you haven't answered yet, go ahead and do that. I'm just gonna close out the poll here in another minute or two. It's looking like the trend that most people are wanting to learn about is engaging on social media. And then the next most popular is using video. So we will definitely make sure we talk about both of those. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and end that poll and launch another one. So social media is definitely the winner on that one, and we'll definitely have some good tips for you all to think about as you're engaging on social media next year. And let me launch the second poll. Again, for anyone just joining us, we're just doing a couple quick polls before we get started so that it gives our team a baseline of what you're most interested in learning about today. So again, I'm Samantha Russell. I am the Chief Marketing and Business Development Officer here at 20 over 10. And I also have Amanda Larson from my team in the background. She'll be in the chat feature answering any questions, putting links there for you to get more information. She'll also be the one that will send out all of the slides to everyone and send the recording of the webinar as well. So she'll make sure you all have the resources you need. I saw someone just raise their hand. If you do have any questions, please put them either in the chat or in the Q&A box. So just so you know the difference, the Q&A box is only visible to myself and Amanda, who's moderating in the background. The chat box is visible to everybody on the call today. So if you have something you want to share with everyone, you can put it in the chat. If you have something that you want only us to see, you can put it in the Q&A. So when it comes to adopting new ways to market your business and engage with customers and leads, what is holding you back? Check all that apply. And so the number one most chosen option here, about 60% of folks, is that you know your options, you're just not sure what's going to be most effective. So I'll be excited to share some of that with you today. And then the second most popular is that you have a limited budget. So of course, as marketers, we all understand that. And the good news is, for a lot of what I'm going to share with you today, there's even free options out there that are really, really effective, even that our team here at 20 over 10 uses. So we'll go into those in more detail. And then the third most popular is just that you're not sure what you should be doing. So I love that honesty. There's a lot of options out there, and it can certainly be overwhelming. So we're going to really focus on just 4 key trends today that we think you can get the biggest bang for your buck if you employ them in the coming year. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end that poll now. Thanks for everybody who participated. And we will go ahead and get started. Let's see. Okay. So thanks again, everybody, for joining. Again, I am Samantha Russell, the Chief Marketing and Business Development Officer here at 20 Over 10. I'm actually going to go ahead and turn my web camera off, but I'll turn it back on at the end for the Q&A portion at the end. So if you have any questions, feel free to add them throughout the presentation, but I'll address those that are relevant as they come in. So I head up our marketing team and our sales team. So all of the tactics we're going to talk about today are things that typically you're going to cover, or both of those teams would want to use, both marketing and sales. And I know for a lot of you, you're, one advisor running a solo practice or maybe a team of people that's still really small. So you don't have fully robust sales and marketing teams. And these strategies are very much specific to small businesses. So this presentation is definitely geared specifically for you. Again, just as a reminder, because we always get asked this when people need to leave, we will record the presentation and send you the slide deck. So don't worry about needing to furiously write down every little thing you see on screen. Of course, keep your notes, but we will send you the slides. Okay, so today we're going to discuss the top digital marketing trends for 2019 that we see on the horizon. And these are ones that we think will impact your business directly. So that's how we've chosen what to share today. We're also going to talk about the most popular tech options for you to consider and how these different options can be connected to automate some of your processes. And then, of course, what you should be considering when you're weighing those options. So things like budget, as we mentioned before. Again, we really want the presentation to be interactive, so I welcome any questions throughout, and I will do my best to answer them as they make sense throughout the session. So the first one that we're going to talk about today is voice search. We've gotten a lot of questions about voice search. For those FPA members that are on the call today, Ryan Russell, one of our co-founders and managing partner, he did a session at the FPA event in Chicago last month all about voice search. And so if you had a chance to hear him talk about that, I think that was great. But there really is a revolution right now in voice search. So let's start by talking about why it's trending. Even if you don't think it's something that you're interested in, whether you find it to be relevant to your business or not, I have news for you. It is. And that's because 40% of all adults now use voice search at least once per day, and 1 in 6 Americans own a smart speaker. And these stats are actually from 2017. And with the number of units of sales of Google Home and Amazon Echoes we've seen in 2018, these numbers are already out of date. I just couldn't find more recent numbers. So, when you think about why voice search is becoming so popular, think about the fact that, as this little stat here I show explains, you can search with your voice almost 4 times faster than you can type. So it's incredibly quick and easy. It's also much more common when we do voice search that we're going to ask longer worded questions, right? So instead of just saying, if you are doing typing for something on Google, you might say, HSA for retirement. If you are speaking into your device, you might say something like, how do I use an HSA for retirement if I'm already in my 40s? Or if my employer doesn't sponsor one, right? You're going to get much more what we call a long tail keyword chain. So they're hyper-specific types of queries, and that's because somebody is just talking into their device. And when we talk, we spend less time thinking about what we're going to say before we say it than we do when we type. So it comes across much more conversationally. And these devices are becoming incredibly intelligent with their answers. And so the financial services industry, we're really struggling to catch up to the needs of modern consumers, right? So what I mean by that is people are inherently now mobile and voice users. And so there's really a lot of new challenges and opportunities that are being presented to us. And just as there were years ago when cell phones were first introduced, and then text messaging, even email, of course, social media, for the longest time, we had huge swaths of advisors who resisted adopting these technologies. And now it's crazy to think of an advisor resisting something like emailing a client or texting a client, right? Voice search is going to be one of those types of revolutions that we're all going to think, why didn't I adopt that sooner? So the other thing really to think about with voice search, so I mentioned the types of queries. They're always going to be much more common. We're going to see things like what, why, where, when. So the types of questions we're asking are going to be just that. Keywords that include questions in them. How do I do this? Where do I find that? Where is something near me? A really interesting statistic, back in 2016, Google announced that 20% of all searches done on Google worldwide were done using voice search. They predict that by 2020, up to 50% of all search will be conducted by voice search. So that is a huge jump, but we can understand why. It is just so much easier. And if you all think about how you interact with your own cell phones day in and day out, whether you have, a Amazon Echo or a Google Home Assistant, just even your cell phone, right? If you're out driving and you need to respond to something quick, and you, of course, don't want to be texting when you're driving, you might talk into your phone. Or if you're someone who hates to type, you might have a headset that allows you to dictate emails to your computer via your voice. Voice assistive technologies are just going to continue to be adopted year over year, quicker and quicker. So what does this mean for all of us, right? Whether, again, we like it or not, they're going to change the way that we all do business. And especially because they save time. Whenever something saves time and makes us more productive, as a business owner, as a society, you can bet it's going to become adopted very quickly. So there's a few things you want to think about. Number one, you really want your content to be incredibly easy to read. And it comes down to a really simple fact. Google or any of the other assistive technologies that are going to speak back to you want to find content that's easy to read back. So it should be easy to pronounce. A rule of thumb is to think 9th grade education level when we're talking about if we want to rank high in those snippets that Google shows at the top of search engine result pages. We also want the content to be what we call conversational natural language content. So I have a quick example here for you that I did right before we hopped on today. So, of course, you can search by voice up here. And I just put in here, can my spouse claim retirement benefits in a divorce if he is not a beneficiary? And what I got here at the top of my screen is this page from this firm, ConnorsSullivan.com. And it's a featured snippet that's at the top of the page. So what this means is if I were to speak this question into my phone, to a voice assistant, they would actually talk back to me this answer. Spousal waiver is not permissible unless the spouse is 35 years old. They would go on and try to pull the most relevant content. If they didn't think if the voice assistant didn't think this actually answered my question specifically enough, then it would say, here's 3 options that you might want to, check out. And it would give me these top 3 options. What this means for all of you is, with a little bit of research, you can very quickly rank pretty high for specific, very hyper-targeted content. So if you come and you do a voice search for a very hyper-specific question that people have, and you can write up a blog post about it, it's not honestly that hard to become a featured snippet for it, the longer tail that it is. And again, long tail just means, a long tail keyword means it's got a ton of extra keywords in it rather than just one short little snippet. So you can start thinking about, if you serve physicians, if you serve people going through a divorce, if you serve widowers, military, start thinking about what hyper-specific questions those folks might have that you can create content on that you could become a featured snippet for some of these voice answers. Additionally, you want to make sure that on your pages, you have how-tos and FAQ sections. So things like, let me just have an example here on the next page. Here's an FAQ section from Fialco Financial Planning. So they have a bunch of different questions that somebody would potentially have. And some of them are really short, just like what is a fiduciary? But other ones are, I'm responsible for the retirement and employee benefits at my company and want to increase the number of employees participating in the benefit programs. So very long, detailed questions. The more of these that you can put in a place like an FAQ on your website, the better opportunities you have to be relevant in those voice search results. Additionally, you want to make sure that you've got everything up to date that you need to be found locally. And this is because almost all voice searches to date are happening on mobile devices, right? So they're either happening through things like an Amazon Echo or your mobile phone. And because of that, Google is going to prioritize the mobile optimized results over any other kind of content. So in order to compete, your site also needs to be primed for that mobile experience and also for that local experience. So we have here, include the NAP data on every page of your site. For instance, your NAP is your name, address, and phone number. So on the footer of your website and every single blog that you write, you should have your name, address, and phone number, and it should be consistent every single time. You want to keep your local business listings up to date, things like Google My Business, and keep them clean, the updated hours, all of those. Again, if you want to rank high for local search through voice. Then the other things are just, of course, best SEO practices. So things like getting an SSL certificate, making sure that your site is HTTPS secure. This is, again, because Google prioritizes security for the results that they're going to show. So the last one, again, is just making sure that your site is mobile friendly. So again, just to go back, if you were in the past going to think of something like how many calories are in an apple, you would type it in, you would get a list of results, and then you'd have to choose from those results to decide what website to go visit, right? Now, if you talk into your phone and you ask Google, how many calories are in an apple? Or Siri, how many calories are in an apple? They're going to just tell you. There are 90 calories in a medium-sized apple. They're not going to take you to a website or anything like that. So it's not that your website is no longer relevant, because if they're not sure, if there's not a clear-cut answer, which is often the case for these very high-level technical questions, what they're going to do is pick the top 3 answers that they think might be the best ones, and then display those to the user, or in the case of a voice assistant, tell them those 3 options. So keep these points in mind as you are building out your content if you want to rank high in voice search. Okay, so the next one we're going to get into is chatbots and live chats. So first, let me explain what the difference is. A chatbot is a computer program powered by artificial intelligence that interacts with your website visitors via the chat interface. So it's completely automated. Live chat is different in that it allows you or another person on your team, it has to actually be a human being, to chat in real time with your website visitors. So there is no automation, although this is changing a little bit depending on what platform you use. So let me just start first by showing you an example. Here's a website that we've done at 20 over 10. When you land on it, Nestor here, the advisor, comes up and it says, can I help you find the answer to a specific question? I can start chatting with him and he can answer back to me in real time. However, when I was preparing for this presentation last night and I came to his website, it said, I'm not available right now. I'll be back in the morning, or you can leave me your contact information and your question. So you can tailor these live chats to show different messages depending on the time of day, depending if it's a holiday, if you want to set like an out of office message. But what is so great about these is that regardless of if you're actually there or not, if you get really creative with what you write, people will often think, even if you're not physically sitting there right at that moment, that somebody is trying to chat with them and they will answer. And what this does is allows you to capture a lead that probably isn't yet ready to engage with you, right? So we know that 99% of website visitors actually are not ready to engage or interact at all the first time they visit a website. 99%. That's huge. When we have something like live chat or a chatbot there that can say hello, people are much more inclined to respond, right? They think it's rude not to. Somebody is communicating with them. So even if they say something like, no thanks, I'm just browsing right now, you might be able to say something back to them, such as, okay, great. Sign up. I suggest you sign up for my newsletter, and I send out one, great article a week around topics such as blank, blank, blank that I think you could find really useful and informative. So it gives you an opportunity to start that conversation with just a random website visitor that you otherwise might never know anything about. This why is live chat preferred diagram, I know it's a little bit hard to read at this size, but I think it's really interesting. It asked a series of questions to people about why they prefer live chat, and they could choose more than one answer. But the first one that people chose was that they get their questions answered immediately. I think we all have run into this in the past. Somebody will tell you, oh, I have a friend who keeps complaining to me, about their financial advisor or about their CPA, and they really are looking to switch. And this client of yours will say, I keep telling them about you and how great you are as my advisor and that they should contact you. But that person, you never hear from them. You never hear from their friend. And it's because it's not a priority to them at that moment. And when it is a priority, they might not be ready yet to actually email you or fill out the form, right? But if you have something like a live chat, even an automated one set up on your website, and they go to visit it at 11:30 at night, and there's a quick message like, hey, thanks for stopping by. How can I help you? And it's just an automated message. They might be more likely to respond to say, I've been meaning to reach out. I'd love to schedule a time to meet with you. And you can have an auto response say, great, here's my calendar to book on. So that immediacy that we all are conditioned to expect from any business that we work with today is just going to continue to become more relevant in 2019 and beyond. So again, what these types of either a chatbot or a live chat allow you to do is to connect with people when they're ready to connect and capture leads, even if they're actually not at that moment looking to go any further than just browse your website. These are some interesting stats, again, about why these are so huge right now. 51% of consumers say a business needs to be available 24/7, and 42% say they prefer live chat because they don't have to wait on hold, right? So we all know we're at work sometimes and we're researching a product or a service. It's a lot easier to just live chat with somebody to get a couple quick answers rather than having to call or make an appointment. It's just not the way we work anymore in society. 51% of customers prefer live chat for multitasking, and another 21% prefer it so they can shop while they're at work. So again, we're all very distracted. Our attention is being split across multiple devices, multiple stimuli all throughout the day. And all of these trends, if you think about it, are really about meeting your potential leads where they're at. If people want to be able to get a quick answer and not fully give up all their contact information because they don't want to get bombarded with emails yet, this allows them to do just that. I just wanted to show you a couple other examples. So this one that I showed you is from a company called Drift. They sort of pioneered the chat bots, which I'll show you here in just a second. This is 20/10's website. We don't use a chat bot. We use live chat. I have obviously tested our own live chat multiple times. So what you're seeing here is kind of, you can see all of my past conversations or start a new one. But if I were to visit this website for the first time, it would say, hi there, do you need help getting started? Do you have any questions? I'd love to help. And then depending on which one of our sales team members there is who you would end up having the conversation with. The difference between live chat and a chat bot that I mentioned before is that with the bot, it's going to allow a robot to get information to you for a later use, right? So you can see here, I'm on this app, Get Cloud app, and it's saying, hey there, and you can tell it's a bot. It's got the little robot picture and it says Cloud App Helper. Do you have any questions about Cloud App for your business? So I could say, you know, just browsing. And now it's going to say, okay, cool. You can always try it for yourself. Click here for your own free trial. Depending on what option I selected, it's going to give me a different result. So you pre-program the chatbot with specific questions that you think people might ask, and then the answers that you would give. So it's all done in advance. There's no, you know, obviously live element to it, but it can also help route the right information to you for leads. So here I have, let me just reload this page for you so you can see. Intercom's another option. So it says, you know, hi there, what brings you here today? And you can see it's going to keep giving me different options that I have to then select. So there's no ability to just type in any answer that I want. I have to actually select from the preloaded options here. And eventually what it's doing is forcing me to book a meeting. So these types of chatbots can be really great if you don't have the ability to be there live answering chat all day long, but you want to be able to collect those leads and get information from site visitors when they're just browsing to set up future appointments. And this is really interesting from Intercom, that company I just showed you. They've found that if you can get someone to reply to your live chat or your chat bot, even just one reply, they're 50% more likely to convert. If you can get them to respond twice, they're 100% more likely to eventually convert. And if you get them to have, you know, a more robust full conversation, then they're 250% more likely to convert. So just being able to be engaged right there on the spot when they're first initially interested makes a huge difference. That immediacy, again, that we all come to expect. So I know everyone's going to ask about, what do you recommend? What tools? So here's some different tools that you could consider using. For most of these companies, they offer both a live chat option and a chat bot. Let's talk a little bit about pricing. So if you're interested in a chat bot, they run anywhere from $250 to $500 a month. So definitely on the much higher, pricier side. However, again, if you can be collecting leads all day from people visiting your website, you have a really robust digital marketing presence, it can certainly pay for itself very quickly from just one lead that converts to a client. The other great thing about chatbots is because everything is preloaded from a compliance standpoint, it can be easier to get it approved by your compliance team if you're dealing with a broker-dealer and maybe they're a little bit stricter. So again, everything is pre-programmed by you. So you choose what the available answer options that the prospect will see are. So in this example I have here, right, we can see depending on what somebody chooses, this is kind of showing you a little mind map here. If they said looking to buy, it's going to show them that's great. How many people on your team? If it says I'm a customer with a question, that's what they select, then it's going to route them to support. For your case, if they were a customer with a question, it might say, great, you know, please email me and I'll get back to you within 24 hours, or call us directly. If you have somebody saying, I'm looking to get information about your financial planning services, then your next question might be, great, are you looking for a one-time plan or financial planning and investment advice? And then they have two different options. And then depending on what they choose, again, further options are given to them. So this can become as robust as you need it to be, or it can be super streamlined and simplified just to give that impression, again, of engagement and immediacy. But the chatbots, the value of them, again, is that you can get them pre-approved by compliance ahead of time. So everything is a very standard question and answer format. With live chat, the advisors that are using them typically are fee-only RIAs, obviously, that are their own compliance officer, and they're monitoring everything themselves. And because all of these tools archive all of your chat logs automatically as part of the platform, that archiving feature is taken care of. So for instance, at 20 over 10, again, we use Intercom. In the back end of Intercom, we can go in and see any conversation we've had with anyone who's visited our website since we started the Intercom software years ago. So the archiving feature is built into the live chat. If you are going more the budget-friendly route, there are some live chat options that are very, very reasonable. So that would be the one to consider. From a compliance standpoint, though, it obviously would be really difficult to get anything pre-approved. So you would be able to get your intro message, of course, pre-approved, whatever you initially put on there, but that would really be it. So keep that in mind, those compliance limitations. We have a blog post about live chat that you might want to explore that Amanda has linked, and that has some more information and good resources as well. If anyone has other questions specifically about live chat or compliance, feel free to add them in. I'm going to move on, though, to the next trend, which is video. Okay. Sorry, I just had to take a quick drink of water. So why video is trending, and I'm sure anyone who's read anything about digital marketing trends has seen this, that people keep calling video the next frontier in marketing because people spend so much time all day watching videos online. And even when we don't think of it as watching videos online, right? We're on Instagram watching people's stories. We're on Facebook watching videos of friends and relatives' kids do something funny. We're on YouTube learning how to do DIY projects or bake a certain, recipe or fix our car, whatever it is. We've really turned to a society that looks to video to learn and to be educated and to do so much, to connect. And video is really one of my favorite trends, and I was so glad to see so many people asking about it because it's very, very easy to get started with it. I think for a lot of trends, people get apprehensive because they don't know where to start. And so what I'm going to show you today are some really simple tools and approaches that hopefully all of you can leave here today and get started with tomorrow. So first, video marketing is going to get more than 80%, this is crazy to me, of internet traffic across the world by 2019. I found multiple stats that were showing that. And as I mentioned before, we're watching a ton of video. The average person spends 45 minutes every day watching mobile videos online. And this is one of my key takeaways for all of you. Viewers who watch a video retain 95% of the message when they watch it in a video, compared to 10% when they read it in a text. So let's go back and think about that again. We're going to retain 95% of a message when we watch a video on it versus 10% when we read it in a text. That's huge, huge, huge difference. We know that video is powerful. And if we're not using it already, the biggest reason that people tell me they're not using it is because they feel intimidated by getting started. So again, I'm here to show you that it's not as intimidating as you might think. You can start a couple different ways. You can start by, rather than, writing out a blog post every week or every month, however often you're blogging, you can start vlogging, which is obviously just video blogging. And then don't think it has to be, a high production cost or anything like that. Even just using your smartphone or some of the other tools I'm going to show you can make it really, really simple. When you upload a video into something like social media, for instance, the other really great thing is that the social media platforms like Facebook and LinkedIn, they prioritize what we call native videos over other types of content. So for instance, I often will on LinkedIn, I'll record a video on my iPhone, just looking into the camera. Here's an example of one right here. And then I will upload it directly to LinkedIn, and I will get a huge return on that investment. So I will record a 1 to 2 minute video on a quick topic, and then you can see in this graph here, the week after I post it, my profile will be viewed, you know, a multiple of a large percent. This is obviously a one-time instance. Sometimes it can say 2,000% more since last week. It just sort of depends on what the topic is. But that's because I'm uploading that video directly into LinkedIn. So with any social platform, the first thing you want to think about is don't put it on YouTube first or Vimeo first and then paste that link from YouTube or Vimeo into the social network. You want to upload the video natively to that platform. So let me say that again. Don't first put the video on YouTube or Facebook and on YouTube or Vimeo and then add the link from YouTube into Facebook or LinkedIn. You want to upload it directly to the social media network. And that's because the social networks algorithms prioritize those native videos above all else. So you can then, once you've put it on the social media page, you can always then go ahead and re-upload it into your YouTube channel or anywhere else. But you want to post it natively to that social channel first to get the biggest ROI. And again, don't think about a high production cost or needing to do something that has a lot of bells and whistles. You can simply use your iPhone. You can use some of these tools that I'm going to show you here in just a second that will record you and potentially your screen to get some information. So the video should be for social 1 to 2.5 minutes in length. And that's just because when somebody's scrolling through their feed, that's all the attention they're really going to pay to a video there. If you're doing more long form content, such as a webinar or some sort of informational video, those ones you can put directly on, you know, YouTube or Vimeo and then share via email, send direct links directly to people, or embed them in a blog post. A number one tip to think about when you are going to take any kind of video and put it on your website, what you want to make sure that you do is transcribe the, you know, or summarize what that video is about on that blog or landing page as well. And that's because Google and Yahoo and Bing, any of these search engines, their crawlers cannot crawl a video. So you can spend, you know, 20 minutes explaining a really technical subject, and you're not going to get any SEO power from that unless you transcribe or at least do like bullet points about it. And it can take a couple different varieties. So let me just show you, for instance, on our blog, if you come over here to our webinars, you can see all the webinars we've ever done, right? And under any of these webinar replays, what we do is we have these timestamps. So we'll talk about what are the main points that we're going to cover, and then we'll link to other content. So we're summarizing here what this video is all about. So we're not writing out every single word. However, from a compliance standpoint, again, we always need to think about compliance. If you do need to get videos pre-approved, an easy way to do it is just to write out exactly what you're going to say, get that approved first, and then create the video. And then you already have everything written out, so you can go ahead and paste the written text into your page as well. So again, the purpose of doing that is it's going to give you a much better return on your investment from an SEO perspective, because the Google or any other of the search engines cannot crawl video. When we think about what kinds of tools we can use, I mentioned you can use, you know, something as simple as an iPhone. There's two other tools that I want to bring to your attention. So this first one is called Cloud App. And this was the one that I actually had pulled up that we were showing. They have this chatbot installed. So Cloud App is a really neat tool, and you can kind of see here they have a little version of it that allows you to both share, you know, your own face and your video and you talking in the camera. But if you're trying to explain maybe something that's more complicated, maybe you have a graph that's showing distributions or just anything that's more technical, you're actually able to take different pieces of your screen, pull them out, animate them, and make it easy for your viewer to see what it is that you're specifically pointing out. My own financial advisor will use software like this. So for instance, I just had a call with him recently and we were talking about using an HSA through my husband's employer-sponsored plan. And it was getting kind of confusing between like the deductibles versus what we had to pay, out of pocket expenses. And so he just went into the employer's website, pulled up the, a bunch of information, and then recorded a quick video of himself, and he could, highlight certain things and then send us that secure file link. So this is a great tool to use, again, for more client-centered videos to explain, complicated things. Another option that I love that's called Loom, and Loom actually has a free version. Cloud App, you do have to pay for, but it's like $10 a month, so it's still very reasonable. Loom, for those of you that maybe want a really, really sleek version, it's highly stripped down, and so I think their user interface is even easier to use. You can see a couple of videos that I recorded just as like a test here before. And what's great about Loom is you can, again, show your face as well as your screen and your mouse going through lots of different stuff. And so it allows you to be both talking to your viewer and they can see your face, which helps build that authenticity and rapport, but they can also see your screen as you're going through something a little bit more complicated. So maybe you wanted to do a blog post about how investors are always worried about the markets, but what we're seeing happening is nothing short of what always happens in these cycles, and you want to show historical cycles or something. You could just pull up, an infographic and talk about it while also recording your screen. It's super simple to install. There's a little extension you put in your browser bar here, and anytime you're on a page, so let's say, I was on this page and I wanted to point out to you guys some things about voice search. I would just come over here and click that button, and it's going to pop up saying I can start recording. It's going to show my video screen over here. I can either X out of that or continue it. And so it makes it really, really easy for me to record a video. Okay, so those are a couple options you can think about. Regardless of what your, what tools you're going to use, whether it's something like Loom or Cloud App or your iPhone, really couple things, practical tips I want you to keep in mind is knowing your audience first and foremost, right? So if you're recording something, again, for a place like social media, you want to keep it short and sweet and to the point, 1 to 2 minutes, show your personality, have some fun with it. Don't take yourself too seriously. I always find myself clicking on videos when someone is walking outside or just sitting in their office. It's much more enticing for me than clicking on a video that I can tell has a really high production value, where they had a full video team in, to record it and make them look perfect. I think we trust videos that are off the cuff a lot more than we trust those that seem like they've been edited and scripted, and have that high production value associated with them. If you're creating videos for clients, just remember that tools like Cloud App or Loom can really go a long way in helping you explain complicated things, and that they do provide a secure link. Some of the tools can even be password protected. So I know with Cloud App, when you are sending a link to a client, you can add a password to any of them to make it easier for the security standpoint that nobody else can get that information. So the other tool I didn't talk about, but the interface we're all on today is called Zoom. Obviously, you can share both your camera and your screen. Zoom is really great for things like webinars like we're doing today because it allows interaction from the audience in real time. So what I often will say too is if you're thinking about doing client meetings using some of these video recording software, you could also record the video for the client and then make it accessible to them after the fact. So if you're going over a lot of options or creating that first financial plan that has a lot of different components and steps, go ahead and record it for them so that they have access to look at it later and make their life easier rather than having to take a bunch of notes and remember every single piece of information that you gave them. We have a blog post here you can see down at the bottom as well on how to use video to make really great first impressions. And there's a ton of tips in that post specific for using video on things like social media. So if you're wondering how to do that or what kinds of topics you might want to talk about, that's a great example. If you're looking for, again, just a quick example of what kinds of things I talk about, you can watch this video when we send the slide deck. I just did a quick 2-minute video all about voice search and the trends that we were seeing. And so that's a great example of how to go about, structuring a video to be quick and easy and digestible. Okay, the last trend that we're going to talk about today is social media, which I know so many of you were excited to hear more about. And I'm always so surprised to hear this because to me, social media has been a trend for so long. And we all have been hearing that we need to be on social, we need to be engaging on social for so long. But I think one of the really big challenges that we've seen for a lot of advisors is they just haven't known what to do on social in order to connect. So why is social trending now? A study just this year in 2018 by McKinsey Investments in partnership with Environics Research found that 57% of investors are interested in interacting with their advisors on social media. So let's just kind of walk through a scenario for you to keep in the back of your mind. So if you're, think of a millennial and they're sitting at a restaurant and they're enjoying their Sunday brunch. The food comes out, what's going to be one of the first things they do, right? They're going to take a picture of it and put it on Instagram. They're going to tag all their friends that they're with, and they're going to tag the restaurant that they're eating at. So for advisors, we don't see this happening. We don't see our clients tagging us often in their posts, even though I would argue that for many of you, you have a much more direct correlation on their overall life happiness than any restaurant can, right? So you're helping them save for these huge milestones, buying a home, retiring comfortably, sending their children to college. Yet when their kid goes off to college, I can't think of a single advisor who's ever told me, yeah, I was tagged in my client's social media post, sending my daughter off to college today. Or somebody buys their first home and they put, thanks XYZ Financial Planning for making this a reality for me. Why is that? It's not that your clients aren't doing those types of posts. It's that historically clients are just not interacting with their advisors at all on social media. So it's not even on their radar to tag them in their posts. So that doesn't mean that it won't happen. This little chart that I'm showing you here is really interesting to me. It's saying that people want to share their life milestones with their friends and family on social media, almost 80%, right? And there is a huge opportunity for all of us as we're interacting with our clients to get them in the habit of remembering us when they are posting and to tag us in those posts. So here's some things you can do. People want to hear from you. So the first way to get started is to stop just posting links to financial content. That does not engage people. That does not get your clients to think about tagging you. And when I keep harping on things like tagging or liking or commenting, that's because that's how you get more leads from a place like social. The clients that you currently have are most likely going to be the most similar to the types of clients you want to have, right? Your current clients, acquaintances, friends, and family members are the types of people that you want to tap into. And the way social media works, if you post something and 3 of your clients like it, then that means all of their networks, those 3 people, have a much higher probability that they will see that post that was liked. If they comment on it, then that probability goes even up higher. If they reshare it, obviously, then the probability is incredibly high. So you want to make content that gets your clients to like it, to want to share it, to want to engage with it. So if you think about what kind of content that's going to be, it's the most, what we call humanizing, very, very personal posts possible. So maybe it's a picture of your children dressed up for Halloween going trick-or-treating. Maybe it's a picture of your staff putting together Toys for Tots and volunteering at the holidays. Maybe it's a picture of the dog that you have in your office that greets you every morning as you drink your coffee. These are the types of posts that your clients are going to engage with on social media. And you might be thinking, well, that's not going to help me get more clients. But remember, your clients are already, in most cases, talking to their friends, their colleagues about you and the great service you provide. So those folks that have been told about you, who just haven't, taken the time to actually get in touch or book a meeting on your calendar, now they see that friend of theirs liking or commenting on a social post that is coming across their feed, and they think, oh wow, yeah, that financial advisor of theirs, I really got to get in touch. Or, oh man, they've been telling me to book a meeting and go through this financial planning process, I really got to do that. It just is a reminder, and that's what we want to see, and that's where the power of social becomes so important. So think about the more humanizing of posts you can come up with, the better. You also want to engage with your own clients. As long as a client hasn't, told you absolutely, don't be connecting with me on social or anything like that, my financial advisor will like pictures I share of my children all the time, or comment on something saying, oh, that's so cute, or wow, it looks like a great vacation. That's what you want to be doing. You want to get in the habit of taking the time to comment and like on your clients' posts so that they get in the habit then of reciprocating and doing the same for you. The video content we talked about before, it really, really applies here in social media. Again, video content is prioritized by the algorithm. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, they're going to show video posts more often than they're going to show other kinds of posts. So if you can post video content, you're more likely to get more eyeballs on it on social media. The other thing you want to think about doing is either tagging other people for higher exposure or including hashtags to be found more for higher exposure. So tagging other people, what I mean is if you are at an event and it's your local chamber of commerce and you guys are, helping out and or doing a sponsorship, don't just say, we were honored to attend the Chamber of Commerce event and, be a sponsor. Tag the chamber, tag any other sponsors in that post to get all of their networks seeing you. If you are a guest poster for an estate planning attorney or maybe in the local newspaper or anything like that, any kind of tagging you can do to include others in your network, you're going to see a much higher ROI on those posts. 20 over 10, every Monday, we do a 5 little things for your Monday post where we find 5 articles that other marketers have written. And what you'll notice is we don't include ones that are not specific to this industry. We include articles from places like FPA or Advisor PR or any of our friends within the industry. And then when we post those on social media, we tag all of them and they retweet those posts because they've been included in our roundup. You could do the same thing. You could have a post every week that you share on social media that you're tagging, 5 other people to get more eyeballs on it. These are all really easy things you can do. But again, it's not just, here's my market commentary for you to read this week. It's much more personalized and thoughtful about what people want to see. I have this little example down here in the bottom right-hand corner. This is a financial post, but this is from somebody on social where rather than linking to a blog or even his website, he'll do social posts every once in a while where he just kind of has like food for thought that you can easily digest. It's quick little tips or quick little thoughts to make you think. And then he'll use hashtags to get people finding it more. And you can see on this one, for instance, he had 6 likes, right? Because it's just something that makes people think, stop for a second and go, oh yeah, that actually is really true. So it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be time consuming. You don't need to be linking always even to other long form posts. You can just have, your thoughts on a specific topic be the entire social post. The other thing to think about with social media is you may want to consider actually paying for some of the ads that they offer. So here's an example on Facebook. One of the posts that we had, right? We can see down at the bottom, they have this little boost post option. Once your credit card has been entered in, you can boost any post, and it'll allow you to set as small or large of a budget as you want. You can choose a very hyper-specific targeted audience, and you can boost posts that you already know are high performing, right? So if we have 10 engagements or 30 engagements on a post, we might want to boost that one over another one. You can even still boost video and image posts. It doesn't just have to be links to other information. And one of the things that we want to keep in mind, I would say out of all the platforms, Facebook gives you the best opportunity to get a good ROI for these boosted posts. I mean, for a budget as low as like $10 a day, you can see some really great traction. Just keep in mind that you really need to have a very strong call to action to fit your end goal with that boosted post. So we have a blog post here, how to use social media to grow traffic and sales, that has more information for you on that. But I used to think that, most advisory firms didn't really need to pay to play. But if any of you have seen within your news feed on any social media channel, if you want to be seen now, you really often need to put some dollar signs behind it. But the good news is so few advisory firms are doing paid ads on these networks that you can get a really great ROI still. Although I do think by the end of 2019, more and more people are going to be adopting it, and that might not be the case. So if you've been thinking about trying it, I definitely encourage you to give it a try sooner rather than later. Okay, so our 5 takeaways, and feel free to put any questions in the Q&A now or the chat box, but voice technologies can no longer be ignored. 72% of people who own a voice-activated speaker say their device are used as part of their daily routine. So it's not going anywhere. We're all going to continue to ask questions to our devices, and SEO is going to continue to be seeing a huge revolution because of voice search. You want to make sure you're collecting leads when they are interested and engage with you. Stop just bombarding people with emails and phone calls when it's convenient for you. Things like live chat and chatbots make it really easy to collect these leads when it's top of mind for them rather than when it's top of mind for you. Customers and consumers and searchers want immediate answers, but they don't want to have to get on the phone with you. They don't want to have to give up their personal information to get those answers. So make it really easy for them to get the information they're looking for via tools like live chat. Start being creative on social media. This is a picture of our co-founder, Ryan Russell, dressed up as Captain America with a little baby Hulk there. I thought this was a funny slide to end on. So these are the kinds of posts that are going to get traction. People are going to like these and make funny comments on them way more than they are any of the technical posts that you're going to share. So make sure that your social feeds are engaging and fun and creative and have a really good balance of both kinds of posts. And I'm going to leave you with this thought. Remember, the most important part of marketing is for you to integrate into the consumer's daily actions, not to ask them to change how they operate for you. So I hope you have lots of takeaways from today's presentation that you can start implementing. I love to connect with everybody. I'm really active, probably most on LinkedIn. Anywhere else, it's really easy to find me. It's just Samantha C. Russell, 2 S's, 2 L's. Please, please, please connect with me on LinkedIn and let me know if you have specific feedback from what we shared today that you'd like to learn more about. I saw a couple people asking, how can I do integrate some of these tools with 20 over 10? We love to get those kinds of questions. We're happy to provide answers. So, feel free to ask away and we'll make sure to get you those answers or send you a support article. If you have a topic that we didn't cover today that you'd love for us to answer, feel free to put it in the Q&A or shoot me an email at marketing@20over10 after the session is over. And we will, send you a long form answer about it. So next month, we're going to have a presentation all about landing pages and how to build the best kind of landing page. So Ryan, who I had shown here is going to join me, and he and I are going to build in real time landing pages using 20/10 to show you where to position the calls to action, where to add the buttons, what kind of imagery to use, what you need to do. So please think about joining us for that one. You can sign up directly on our website. Amanda also just put the link in the chat box, but all of our webinars are always here on our website, so you can come to this one and register for this landing page clinic. It's sure to be a really good one. We're hosting it early in the month because we know the holidays are coming up. Thank you everyone so much. I always enjoy speaking with everyone and hearing your questions. I hope again you found some good valuable nuggets that you can leave with here today. And if you do end up adding any of these to your arsenal, whether it's Loom or Cloud App or video or live chat, you know, shoot me a message and let me know. I'd love to hear if people actually leave here and start adding these to their arsenal. So thanks everyone, and have a great and happy Thanksgiving and long holiday next week. Take care.